The nail soup is a traditional Swedish folktale about a clever old wanderer who becomes the guest of an old woman with a stingy heart and tightly locked cupboards. Using his wit and a single magical nail, he teaches her how to make a delicious soup and an even greater lesson about generosity. A long time ago, in a village not too far from a stream, a wandering elderly man was trudging down a dusty lane. His movements were slow as he had been walking the whole day. He would have loved nothing more than to eat a nice hot meal. He searched everywhere, hoping to find some shelter before nightfall, but couldn't find even a small hut or shack. The old man was hopeless and tired, and he had lost all his faith. But suddenly, a light shining through the trees caught his attention. A small cabin through the trees, with smoke rising from its chimney, caught his attention, with a small garden full of colourful fruits and vegetables. He thought to himself, "The person who lives here must have some extra food to share with a hungry traveller like me. I think I'll go and ask." Once he reached the front of the wooden door and knocked the door, on the other side stood an old woman with her hands were on his hips, and he had a frown on his face. "Where do you come from? And what do you want?" she said.
I'm coming from the lands where the sun rises and the moon sleeps. I've seen every corner of this world.
The old woman squinted suspiciously.
Oh, really? Then what brings you here?
He said,
I was just hoping for a place to spend the night, and I'm tired and hungry.
She snapped.
Well, my husband's not home, and this house isn't an inn for every tramp that wanders by. Move away!
The old man stood his ground, smiling with patience. After a long while of pleading, flattery, and charm, the old woman finally sighed and gave in. She muttered,
You will sleep right here on the ground and not say a single word, understood?
Inside the cottage was dim and cluttered. The old man could tell the old woman wasn't evil, just stingy and sour. He bowed slightly and said,
If you have a bite of food, ma'am, I'd be forever grateful. I'm starving.
Food? I haven't had a crumb since morning.
Oh dear, then we're both hungry. Don't worry, Aunt. I'll cook something for the two of us.
With what? Magic? I don't have anything in my house.
Yes, with magic. Just bring me a pot, and you'll see.
The old woman's curiosity got the better of her. She handed him an old iron pot. The old man filled it with water, set it over the fire. Then he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a long, shiny nail. He dropped it into the pot, stirred the water, and smiled. The old woman frowned. "What on earth are you making?" He said, "Nail soup." She blinked. "Nail soup?" He nodded. "That's right, nail soup." The old woman had seen and heard a lot in her lifetime, but she'd never seen or heard of anyone making soup with a nail before. She said, "Well, it wouldn't hurt for poor hungry folks like us to learn something new. I wouldn't mind finding out what kind of magic this nail soup is all about." The old woman sat on the floor, watching closely as he stirred the pot.
I can make a delicious soup, but this time it might not turn out as rich as usual.
Of course, if we had a handful of wheat flour to toss in, it would be much better.
But oh well, no use complaining. We'll have to make do with what we've got.
The old woman hesitated and said to herself, "If a little flour makes it taste better, then I suppose I'll go and get some." Then shuffled over to her cupboard and brought a bit of flour. He tossed it in, stirred again, and tasted the broth.
Not bad at all, but if we had a bit of meat and maybe a couple of potatoes, it'd be perfect.
The old woman bit her lip, thinking, and remembered she had a few potatoes and maybe even a bit of meat, then brought both. He stirred again, the aroma filling the little cabin. The old man said,
You know, if we had a bit of barley and some milk to toss in, then honestly we could even invite the king over. Because this soup could turn into one of those soups that even a king couldn't dream of in his sleep.
You see, I myself spent a few years as an assistant to the royal chef.
The old woman, completely overwhelmed by the old man's presence and his grand titles, shouted,
No way! Invite the king! Oh my goodness! Why shouldn't we get to eat like royalty too? Well, I have some milk and a bit of barley. Let me go get them.
She hurried off and returned with both. The old man stirred one last time, then pulled the nail out with a smile. Dinner's ready.
Dinner is ready.
But to be honest, whenever the king and queen eat this kind of soup, they usually add a whole bunch of other ingredients too. Still, there's no helping it.
The old woman thought to herself, "If the king eats like this, why shouldn't we? Just this once, let's eat like nobles and pretend to be the king and queen with this wandering gypsy. What's the harm?" She headed straight to the cupboard and grabbed a dish of cheese, a little salted meat, and some other things. Suddenly, she looked around and saw the table piled high with all sorts of food. In all her long life, she'd never thrown together such a feast, and all of it with a completely useless nail. The two of them sat down together and ate like they hadn't eaten in years. The table was full, everything she had hidden away. The old woman couldn't remember the last time she'd had such a feast. She looked at the old man with admiration and thought, how clever this man is. A soup from a nail. Who would have believed it? That night, the old man lay down with a grin and thought, now that's what I call a royal banquet. When morning came, the old man woke to find a hot cup of coffee on the table. As he got ready to leave, the old woman pressed a gold coin into his palm and said warmly,
God bless you, old man. You've taught me something precious. From now on, I'll never go hungry again because I know how to make soup from a nail.
The old man smiled as he walked down the forest path.
Yep, it's easy once you've got the right ingredients.
And after that unforgettable night, the old woman realized something she had long forgotten, that the secret to a delicious soup isn't meat, potatoes, or fancy ingredients, but kindness and a generous heart. If you enjoyed this tale, subscribe and join us as we uncover more forgotten legends from around the world.